Hi, is it Rayesh?
Hi. Hi, Simon.
Hi, am I saying your name properly?
Yes, yes, you are right.
I want to hear you say one time,
Yeah, it's Riyaz Alam.
Riyash.
Yeah.
Okay, good to meet you, Riyash. Thank you
Okay.
for taking the time.
Okay.
Let's see. I guess before we start, I always like to ask up front, do you have a hard stop right on the hour?
Yes, yes.
You do have a hard stop,
Yeah.
meaning if we run over a little bit, that's okay, or you have something,
No, no,
another.
I'm perfectly fine. Means we can discuss at any length. Okay, no issue.
Oh, okay, just checking because
Mm,
that way I know when to when to shut up.
mm.
Okay, great. Thank you for taking the time. Maybe I'll start with a little bit intro. I'll try to give you as much. We'll try to compress in an hour. I'll give you as much information about myself, the company, a little bit maybe about the team, what we're working on, and then we'll hand it over to you. You can give me some intro about yourself, and then we'll talk a little bit about the typical exercise interview questions.
Okay,
Does that
okay.
sound good?
Okay, sure.
Okay. So yeah, I'm Simon Fong, currently VP of Engineering with eLocal. I've been with eLocal for about 3 years now. Actually, came in via an acquisition. Um, the eLocal acquired two other related businesses about 3 years ago. The business I was with was called CityGrid.
Mm,
Actually, still technically running. I've been with the company really since June,
mm,
since 1999.
mm,
So many years, largely in the same industry, which is people tell me it's pretty unique. Um, so in the local advertising industry, I don't know how much Harnish gave you sort of background on the company, but ultimately we try to connect consumers with our advertisers. Really, a lot of the business we drive is via phone calls. Like we
mm,
try to drive, um, really appointments, new businesses to a lot of different categories. Very heavy in the home services categories. So, like in the U.S., when somebody needs, a plumber or an electrician for their home,
mm.
a lot of times they're, those calls, we're driving those to, individual providers on our end.
Okay.
So, nutshell of the business. As far as my personal experiences, yeah, I started as an associate software developer, meant to solve Y2K problems.
Mm,
Uh, and quickly kind of found myself, people wanted me to work on basically reporting. There was no Google Analytics or really too many analytics packages at that point in time, so we kind of rolled our own. I had a great mentor at the time who really was pretty new at data warehousing. Spent some time, we implemented our first data warehouse in Oracle 8i.
mm,
um, Spent quite a bit of time on the BI in the BI team doing backend as well as some front end reporting. Led up the BI team for a while. Then it kind of expanded to data engineering, and from there just kind of expanded onward. Currently, we're we're working actually on a pretty exciting project. It's really we're have quite the undertaking. We've been tasked to build out a new platform that will ultimately allow us to not only run the CityGrid business. CityGrid happens to be around long time, about as long. I've been around longer, but it's been a long time.
okay.
It's on applications and infrastructure that's it's still running, but needs a big refresh. So we're actually trying to develop a new platform to basically run the entire business on this new platform. Um, once we've hardened it and proved that success, the idea is everything that's running on the eLocal side as well is also running on this new platform. And on top of that, we have new requirements coming in. A lot of what we're designing now is intended to really execute on some of the vision that the senior management, senior leadership has, big plans for the company. So it's quite exciting. It's definitely challenging, right?
Mm,
We've got things that are working, it has to support the old kind of the old business, but at the same time, be able to support the new one. As far as applications, a lot of the development happening on the new platform primarily is written in Java. Some Go, some Go. Database we've currently decided on until we know any better. We're using Postgres, Aurora, AWS Aurora Postgres variant.
Okay.
So far, we're at a stage where we've kind of designed the logical model fairly stable enough for a lot of the development to have begun. Meanwhile, there's still conversations going on with business, so some of that will evolve. But as far as like logical entities, it's starting to come into view. I don't know. Again, Harnish, I don't know how much she told you, but I'm looking for help because I'm not a DBA. I've done help in tuning.
Yeah.
I can spot some problem areas, but I'm not a DBA by profession or even pretend to be. But I can, I've been sort of around long enough where I can kind of understand some of it. The other piece I'm looking for is, again, in terms of modeling, I'm doing a lot of it now. It is probably an area, I would say I'm stronger in, but it's also one area where I feel like being able to have somebody that has, the experience to be able to have like even, second pair of eyes or new ideas, right? To be able to better model something is what I'm looking for. And then I also, so I like your experience. It looks like you have a pretty good blend. We need the DBA. We need more of sort of the modeling as well, and then maybe even some on the warehousing side. And there's probably more. So maybe this is a good point before we turn it over to you. Any questions from me so far from what I've described that I can better clarify?
No, so I have just one question, Simon. So the database you are using, this is just the AWS Aurora or any other like Postgres, Oracle, any other databases you are using?
It's hard for me to explain. So with the acquisition, we are kind of there's actually two different ecosystems, right? CityGrid was technically a running company. It still is. It still runs semi-autonomously. That database is Oracle.
Okay.
It's like Oracle 11. For the most part, the CityGrid systems, they're pretty hands-free. Not too worried about, there's no real, I would say, DBA task. Once in a while, might have to look for maybe table space filling up, but it's super rare. We also have we've worked with a contractor who who's actually on call and has helped us in that area. But for the most part, no active development there, no real major issues. That's on the CityGrid ecosystem. Within eLocal is on Postgres. I forget which specific version, but it's all RDS. So typical master, replicas. It's all Postgres on the eLocal side. Okay. Just for some added color, we actually had MySQL previously. So again, eLocal acquired two other companies. The other company they acquired happened to have MySQL. We just finished last year. We finished a big project to basically allow us to decommission a lot of that structure. Because when you think about it, the three companies, very similar business model, similar applications, really. So you kind of have to unify it, right? So we picked sort of the best of breed between things, and we were able to shut that off. So no more MySQL, all Postgres at this point. Oracle is on the CityGrid side, but we're in the process of trying to decommission that even. And then finally, the new platform. New platform is Aurora, Postgres.
Okay, perfectly fine. So you want me to go ahead?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so myself is Riaz Alam, and I have completed my MCA in 2009 from Pune University. Actually, it's a city in India. Okay, so after that, I started my career as an Oracle DBA, and I joined Sears Holding India. So Sears basically a retail giant. It's in US. You might be aware of that. Okay, So I joined
Mm.
Sears Holding India and I worked there for 5 years as an Oracle DBA. Then I joined Orient Technology. Until now, I'm working with Orient Technology with various clients. So I have worked with Oracle and Postgres, and I'm also AWS certified, and I've got AWS training. Okay, so I'm good in Oracle, Postgres, and many things. Means I have developed and designed many databases. I have worked with the development teams, and I have good experience and in coordinating and developing their project. So I'm into a role where I can deliver the project from scratch to end. Okay. So my role is basically to interact with the customer, with the application team, and develop their application, and if there is any
Okay.
problem. So I'm into performance tuning team also. So I have tuned multiple queries. I have helped the application team to tune their queries multiple times. So I'm into the performance tuning team also, and design schema designing, database designing. So I'm into that role. Okay. So I'm into at the stage of my career, means where I can do anything. Means I have 10 years of experience and I have involved into multiple activities and multiple projects. So I have different kind of experience with different projects. Okay. So I'm just looking forward, means what kind of challenges you come up with. Okay. So I will definitely take it up.
Okay, that's great to hear. So yeah, quite a few interesting points there. Um, before I forget it. So when you say you've helped to like performance tune, can you describe to me kind of what the approach is, what you typically like just describe to me like what are you doing in terms of identifying areas for performance tuning? How do you work with application developers to not only solve for maybe whatever the root cause is for
Mm.
that issue, but just describe to me what that whole your whole approach is to that.
Okay. So first of all, suppose if there are two types of performance issues generally application encounters. First is database slowness and other is query slowness. Okay. So these are two separate things. So means we do people generally get confused with the performance issues. So we categorize this into the two part. One is database slow and other is query slow. So first of all, I will talk about the query slowness. Okay. So when we talk about the query slowness, then there could be multiple things which can harm the query. Okay. So first of all, I will check the locking. Okay. Means I have seen application is designed in such a way that there could be multiple locking into the database, and due to that their query doesn't get completed on time, and application team don't know whether their query is running or not, because they are not able to see means locking from their side. Okay. So they reach out to DBA, means what is happening. So we check from our side and we see that it is the locking which is hampering their query. So first of all, I check the locking. Okay. After that, sorry. After that, I see the fragmentation level, sorry, statistics. Okay. So when the last time the all the tables which is being involved in the query, when the last time it was analyzed, whether it has all the up to date statistics or not. So I try to figure out those. If there is any issue with the statistics, table statistics or index statistics, so I try to figure out that, and if there is any with statistics, then I analyze that and I make it up to date. Okay. Sorry, actually there is some problem in my throat.
Oh yeah, no, feel free if you need
Yeah.
to
After
a
that,
drink.
yeah,
I've been talking all day, so
yeah,
I might have to get myself a drink as well.
yeah. After that, I try to check on the indexing part. Okay. So whatever query, what the problematic query. So I try to figure out, means whatever the column which is being used in the where clause, whether they have the correct indexing or not. If there is any problem with the indexing, then I try to create a new index and I communicate with the application team, means this is the due to the indexing it is giving problem. And after that, I check the fragmentation level of that particular table which is being used in the query. Means most of the time, due to the insert or due to the update and delete, there is a big fragmentation in the table, and due to that query performs very slow. So we have to check on the fragmentation level and defragment that if it is needed. Okay, and after that I check on the memory part of that. Means these are the 4 5 steps which I check early, and if issue is not resolved, then I check on the server side. Server side I check the memory part. Okay, means whatever the memory is needed, whether it is
So don't,
assigned or not. Okay, so then
okay.
I will move into the server side slowly. Okay, memories,
So now the
memory, and
DB slow.
yeah, and then the parameters also. Means so what are the parameters? Means Postgres, suppose if we are using the Postgres SQL dot Postgres, then I will check the Postgres SQL dot conf with what are the memory parameters that are assigned to and what values are assigned to them. So I will check on those part. Okay, so these are the approach I
Okay.
generally follow.
Okay.
And there are
What
also
if you,
there are also some kind of reports. Suppose if I am using the Oracle, then there are AWR report which I generally generate. So from that report also we get to know, means which are the, means suppose, means which are the problematic area, means why the query is running slow. So now what are the wait event, why query is waiting for. So these are the things I generally follow as a DBA to resolve the
okay.
performance tuning issue.
Let's say you're monitoring, just you all of a sudden you see, okay, DB is slow. You don't really see any queries themselves that obvious, you need some obvious tuning, but you see maybe just purely the number of, sessions, number of selects even has gone up. What do we need to start like thinking about if you've said there's some DB slowness, you maybe even memory allocation. If you're trying to scale up that instance, we run into issues. What do we need to be thinking about next?
So whenever there is any issue, first of all, I will run the top command on the server. Okay, and I will check what are the most, means what is the load on the server, and it will give me the problem, means which are the processes which is consuming the most of the resources into the server. So I will start digging deep from that.
Yeah, I get that part. I'm saying maybe you've checked that, and it looks like we've the number of queries has maybe exploded, right? Volume has gone up. What's the next thing after that? What do you think we should be looking at doing? Right, if the DB slowness has gone up purely because number of actual queries have gone up, what do you think we should be looking at to do next?
I did not get the question exactly. Means number of queries means so that we can change the number of processes or number of sessions, so I can increase that. Okay. Mm,
Even
my,
even after exhausting that, right?
yeah.
I guess what I'm getting at is then you can't really scale sort of vertically anymore, correct?
Yeah.
Right. So you have to set up some kind of probably some replica. So do you?
Yes, means
I guess
we have, yeah, I got your point. Okay, so whenever we have the setup like DCDR setup, so means most of the select queries we redirect on the replica side. Okay, so that means there is no contention, or means it gets more resources. Okay, because insert or update or all the DML, all the DML statements runs on the primary side or master side, and all the means most of the select query runs on the replica side. Okay, so there is no contention and no resource.
okay.
Yeah. So we can redirect those queries to run from the replica side.
Okay. Are you familiar with like the N+1 problem from the application development side? Do you know what the N+1 problem?
I have heard that. Means if you can give me a little bit it, then I can definitely try to.
Think of there's a lot of different ORM middlewares, right? Object relational mapping, right? So like in Java, you have like Hibernate. In Python, I think you might have it's like Pyramid or SQL Alchemy. You have you have this layer that, from an application development point of view, it's nice because a lot of the model, right, itself, the tables themselves, a lot of it is kind of mapped back to these classes, these entities that you're developing. And so even when you're trying to do your typical, data retrieval, read, right, to be able to read the data, right, depending on how you specify the relationship, sometimes these softwares can generate what's called N+1 problem, being if you ask me to write the SQL, like I'm trying to, let's say, iterate through one table, let's say I have a table of customers and I have a table of, let's say, orders. One way I can find all of the, count of, maybe count's a bad one, but if I want to find all the orders for every customer, I can do kind of different ways. I can, for me, being, from the SQL background, I'll typically satisfy it as one natural join, one inner join, and I can just, it's really one SQL I'm executing, and I have my entire result set and getting that back, right? In the N+1, depending on some of the mappings, you might actually be iterating through maybe a list of the customers and then fetching, one by one, these additional selective queries. So you end up with this problem where, you start to, I would say the individual queries themselves are probably efficient, but you have all of these additional selections that are being executed one by one. In my mind, I equate it kind of like when I look at a query plan, right? Something that's maybe doing some nested loop versus maybe that's something, just some hash join, right? I was just curious to see if you had to deal with that with application developers or not. But that's what the N+1 is. But okay. That's okay. It's we don't have to spend any more time on that. Maybe talking about the replicas a little bit, right? So again, I'm not the DBA expert, but in terms of replication, I know you're familiar, should be familiar with the write ahead logs, correct?
Yes.
With logs, can you explain to me kind of some pros and cons, or maybe you explain to me, like, just I'm regular person on the street. What is the purpose of the wall log, and how is it used in terms of this thing called replication?
Okay.
How would you explain it to somebody?
Okay. So write ahead log. Okay. So WL. So this is a buffer, wall buffer. Okay. In the instance, in the Postgres instance. Okay. So whenever any Postgres instance, that at that time the Postgres assigns a wall memory, and there is also a wall file. Okay. So whenever there is any transaction happens, it directly does not go to the data files. Okay. There is db buffer and there is wall buffer. Okay. So whenever if there is any update or insert or whatever query is performed, everything is performed on the db buffer first, and after that it goes to the data files. Okay. But whenever there is anything happens in the database, and means any change vector. Okay, you can say that the particular term we use as a db is change vector, means any single change happens, first of all it moves to the wall buffer. Okay, and on every commit it goes from wall buffer to the wall file. Okay, so suppose if database crash, means the data gets written from db buffer to data file on every log switch, or in every 5 minutes. Okay, so it may be chance that your your data, means data is not gets written into the data file and your database crash. Okay, so you will lose your data, but due to this wall buffer and wall file, you have that feasibility and you have that uh, option available that your data will be intact and you will get all the data that is been committed. Okay, so whatever change happens, first of all postgres transfer that data, that thing into the wall buffer. Okay, and on every commit it transfer the data from wall buffer to wall file. And suppose if we have enabled the archive log mode, then it will move all the things. Whenever the wall file gets full, it will transfer all the thing to archive. Okay, means whenever it gets full. Okay, so it is basically all the committed data will be written into the wall file, and whatever change happens, that gets written into the wall buffer.
Okay, so how is that used in replication then?
It transfer all the things from wall, means in replicants all the, means whatever changes happen, that transfers, means from wall sender there is a background process. Okay, which which transfer all the changes, whatever changes happening, whatever changes being recorded into the wall, it transfer into the replica side. And on the replication side, there is a background process that is called wall receiver. So wall sender and wall receiver, they are mainly the background process which are responsible to transfer all the wall content.
So do we send the wall, so that file, do we send the file over?
No,
Is that what happens?
no,
The
we do
file
not.
over?
No, wall file doesn't. We do not send the wall file. Wall content, and wall contents means whatever changes is happening at the database level, that is called the wall content. And whatever means those content will be transferred to the replica side with the help of wall sender background process.
Okay, so you're saying we send the individual wall, the records, each change vector, you're saying we send that over to the receiver?
Exactly.
Why don't we send the file over? Why don't we just send the file over?
There is a different mechanism for replication, like that file level replication. Okay,
Okay.
means we use streaming replication. On streaming replication, this is generally the wall, means wall level. This is the wall level replication. Okay, wall sender and wall receiver.
Okay, can you think of any pros and cons between? Is it still relevant? So yeah, so log shipping, right? Is there any relevance in today's day and age why you would do like log shipping versus streaming replication?
I have seen most of the organization use only streaming replication, not the log shipping. Okay, so I generally.
So why is that? Why do people choose the streaming replication over just the log?
Sorry, I was getting a call. No, I have no idea about that. Sorry.
Okay, I'm just curious about. So the streaming replication should give you the lower latency.
Yeah,
performance.
performance. Yeah, basically for the performance issue to reduce the performance. Yeah.
Okay, and then for streaming, is that real time? Is there some delay? So again, when you set up streaming replication, when we replicate the data over, is that supposed to be real time? Does that happen when a client is doing a write on the source DB? Should I expect that write to also happen on the replica on the destination at the same time? Can you describe that a little bit?
Yes, it's all real time apply.
Real time? Is it synchronous,
Yeah,
asynchronous?
yes, synchronous means in streaming there are two types of streaming replication. One is synchronous replication, and other is asynchronous replication. So suppose if we have set up the synchronous replication, then we have to choose one parameter on the PostgreSQL.com, that is synchronous underscore commit is equal to on. So if there is any transaction is happening, and until or unless it gets applied, it's get committed on the replica side, we will not get the acknowledgement on the primary side. Okay, so that is not in the case of asynchronous replications. Okay, means suppose the wall contents get wall contents moved on the replica side, and means there is no need of acknowledgement on the primary side. So I have seen that there is some issues, performance related issues due to the synchronous replications, means due to some latency, or it gets sometime it gets time to apply on the replica side, and there is some delay to get the acknowledgement. So we have seen some performance issues on the when we choose the synchronous replication. So most of the time I see there is asynchronous replication only.
Okay. So what is the implication? So I think you started going into it, like it takes some time to write to get the commit from the replica. What does that mean for on the source side?
Yeah, due to the network, right, due to the network bandwidth sometimes. So we have to choose the better network. Okay.
Okay.
So that there is less latency.
Basically, our writes are even going to be, in theory, should just be slower by nature, right? When we're synchronous, because we're waiting for commits. If there's multiple replicas, it's a commit. Is a commit waiting for a commit from everybody? So if I have a master and let's say I have several replicas, do I have to have a commit from all of the replicas in a synchronous?
Means whatever transaction we are committing, so we need to get acknowledgement, okay, to move forward.
Okay. So how about on the asynchronous? On the
Async,
asynchronous,
there is no need of acknowledgement. Means it will get streaming the wall content. Okay, wall sender will keep sending the wall content. Okay, to the that's it. Means there is no need of acknowledgement. There is one there is one views pg underscore stat underscore replication. From that we can keep checking means how it is behaving, whether it is in sync or not. Okay, and we can also monitor the streaming. If there is any lag, then we can move the wall and we can make it sync. We can make it sync.
okay. When the lag falls to behind, like I don't know what the reason is, but the replica just falls way behind. Is there anything that we need to look out for on the source side? Like if we're saying that it just asynchronous, right? If the replica itself just falls way behind and it hasn't caught up on the replication, is there any risk or anything we need to be looking out for on the source side?
Means there could be like, first of all I'll check the processes, like whether the wall sender process has been stopped, or due to why. Means I will try to find out the root cause why it has been stopped sending the walls. Okay, so I will try to find out the root cause, and if there means if the lag is very big, then I will rebuild the instead of moving up all the wall files to catch it up. I will try to, means my approach will be to rebuild the replica again. Means it will take less time.
Replica. What happens? So that's so like when it's too far behind. Meanwhile, on your source, is that just continuous? I just keep writing to a wall log. Anything anything I need to watch out for? Like how do I know that how much of the wall log to keep for the replica?
So we can figure out that from particular query. Means from pg underscore stats underscore activity, we can figure out how much wall is behind on the replica.
Okay. I was getting at like how do you manage the wall log itself? Like when when you're trying to define like even this how much of the wall log to keep is there's a risk there for just disk filling up on the source, correct?
Okay.
Right. I think this is good. I think it's good. We can probably move on because we spent some time on replication.
Okay.
Again, I'm not the expert on it, but it's
Yeah.
good that you're, you know, it's a good conversation around it. So we could probably move on.
Okay.
So yeah, we talked a little bit about what to look for performance-wise, scaling. We talked about replication a little bit. Maybe we can talk about just switch gears a little bit. Let's talk about the data modeling a little bit. So go a little bit deeper and tell me what's your experience in like modeling. Is there specific tools? Where do you start? Like, you know, what? Tell me your involvement there on the data modeling side.
So whenever I get any requirement, okay, so my task, my role means as a DBA is to create, means to gather the data from the application team, and to help them to design the schema. I'm basically into the schema design and database design. Okay, so what are the parameter I will set? Means how the tables will be created, which will be the foreign key, which will the primary key, means how the indexing will be. So I'm into that role. Okay, means I try to means remove the duplicate data. Okay, so I try to figure out, means the ER diagram, I create the data flow diagram. Okay, so I'm into that role.
Okay. So your main you do you, what do you use to maintain your ERD? Which is there specific tools you use or you hand drawn?
No,
I've done hand
it's
drawn
yeah,
before.
it's it means it's just some hand on, means not to use.
Sorry, say it again.
Yeah,
Yes,
it's just hand drawn or little bit, means Google driven tool that we use.
I see.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. I mean, it does the job, but I've
yeah,
also used stuff that's quite nice too.
yeah.
Just curious. So maybe we do. It's a little bit hard because we don't have a screen, but it doesn't have to be quite so exact either. It's more about talking through it. So maybe we'll do a little modeling exercise. Let's say I have this concept of, okay, so I have a customer, right? One of our advertisers with eLocal, right? So I have this customer entity, right? And sure, there's a bunch of attributes that you can probably think of that we capture about a customer: first name, last name, address, et cetera. But let's say every customer, they decide to tell us that, hey, we're willing to spend some amount of advertising dollars with you, right? But some of these customers, they have they want to specify a limit, right? So some customers might say, okay, I'm good with however you do the advertising, but I don't want you to spend any more than, let's say, $10,000 in 1 month, right? And then maybe some advertisers say, well, I'm good with however you spend, but I don't want you to spend any more than, don't deliver more than 100 phone calls to me. So somebody says no more than, X amount of dollars in 1 month. Other one says no more than, 100 of a particular type of event, 100 phone calls. Let's say a third customer says, kind of like the first customer, but he says, I don't want you to spend more than $100 in, every 2 weeks, let's say, right? So you can think there's kind of some rules there, right? One customer says no more than, in 1 month. The last customer said no more than X in 2 weeks, right? And then finally in the middle, you have one guy who says, oh, I don't want you to spend any more than, not dollars, but here's, no more than 100 of some events, right? Some quantity. So like, given that kind of business problem, let's kind of brainstorm. Again, we're not drawing anything, but we can think out loud, right? How do you think we should try to model tables to capture, these rules, right? Because ultimately we're going to use these to govern how much we actually deliver, how much we spend for each individual, these 3 customers, right? Is that making sense so far?
Yes, it's perfectly making sense.
So maybe you want to spend a few minutes thinking about it, and then we can kind of just talk through it, right? We don't necessarily have to, unless you want.
I have got the idea, I think. Okay, so okay. So it will be I will create a column on that particular spent. Okay, I will create a spent column. Okay, spend or spend whatever column. Okay, and I can means use that greater than and less than. Okay, it means whatever amount they want to spend. So I will just use the greater than and less than, and it will help us to insert all the data into that. Suppose if any customer doesn't want to uh, spend more than 10,000. Okay, so means if the amount is less than 10,000, then it will go into that column. Okay, less than and greater than, I will use that and I will model that.
Okay, so one column you're proposing to, so you would propose to add one column on the account table, on the customer
amount. One will be amount. Okay, amount column.
Okay.
Amount column. Okay.
Okay.
So amount.
Okay, so here, let me take some notes, right? We have, let's see, we're going to call it spend, right? And we'll call this we're going to put this on the customer table or new table. We'll say one table. Okay, so we have, let me type it here. Meeting notes. I'll take notes. Okay, so we have, can you see the notes, by the way, while I'm typing?
No, I'm not able to see.
Okay, well, that's fine. I can probably share it. So, okay, so we have one column that's spend. What's the data type there in Postgres?
We can use the varchar, simple.
Okay, spend you're going to have as varchar.
Yep.
This is meant to hold the. I thought this was meant to hold the actual dollar value or the monetary value. Is it not? So, or maybe I misunderstood.
Yeah, so numeric you can say. You choose the numeric.
Okay, numeric. Okay, what else? Is that enough? So that would cover. So in my first rule, when I said customer A doesn't want to spend any more than, $1,000, that covers part of it, right? The $1,000.
Yeah.
But it's in 1 month, right? You compare that to the third customer who is, I don't want to spend any more than $100, which I could probably use to spend, but then it's in 2 weeks, right? So there's one says in 1 month, the other one says in 2 weeks.
So then
how would we?
I would use one column that is called span, SPAN, span. Okay, so that will capture the duration, or span or duration. You can choose a particular column. Okay.
Okay, so you're going to add another column called span.
Span or duration, whatever you can say.
Okay, and so give me some sample values there.
Okay, so means in that, suppose 2 weeks, the particular customer will whatever amount of time they want to spend, means suppose it is giving the 2 weeks, so I will capture that 2 weeks, means in 2 weeks how much amount they want to spend. So I will capture the time span, means whatever they want to they want to the time they want to spend.
Oh, okay. So you mean, let's see here, I'm typing. So one, we have a column, spend. This holds the monetary value.
Yeah.
Of some limit, right?
Yes.
So we had example, right? No more than $1,000 in 1 month. The other one was no more than $100 in 2 weeks. And then one guy says no more than 100, widgets in 1 month, right? So we're saying, so here are our new columns, right? And we're going to add this on for our customer table. Okay, so we have a spend, we're numeric. So our span, what data type is this one?
Span, this will be date.
This one will be a date.
Sorry, span means what I have chosen. Span 4 means this will be duration. So means we can choose it, means where can only, means no date.
Okay.
Where can.
Okay.
Yeah. This holds the duration.
Duration, i.e.
Yeah.
month.
Yeah. That is month
2 months.
months or week or whatever.
So are we holding like this? 2 months, 1 week, etc.
Yeah.
Okay. Is that it?
One column will be customer column, means customer name or customer ID, whatever. So I'll choose one column. Okay. Customer. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. And I guess this will be our primary key.
Yeah.
Okay, so then how would I, as an application developer who has to use this, how would you propose them to use ultimately the data that we're storing to be able to easily apply these rules, right? So the spend one, we're saying numeric. How would what's the sample value if I need to store $1,000? Is that literally just 1,000?
Yes, it will be 1,000 only. It will be number.
Okay. Do we care about what if it's in a different currency? Like, what if I'm not doing US dollars here? Okay. Do I still store it? So I could store it as numeric. Is there any is it just numeric? Like there's an integer here, right?
Mm-hmm.
So is this how I represent 1,000 US dollars?
This basically means we have to check that means which kind of currency we are means we cannot store multiple currency in a single table means if you are using then we can convert that, okay, means we can convert then we can store that according to the currency we are going to use, okay, so that we can use the convert function according to the dollar or whatever currency we are going to use, and we can store that. Otherwise we can keep the consistent only for the only the dollars, or otherwise we can convert it and store it according to the given value.
So we can either convert to one currency.
Yeah.
That's one option. What if I had to support multiple currencies? If I convert them all today, that I store it, right? If I convert them all, but do I lose anything? Like, what if this is a database for like just international and I have to maintain the different currencies? How could I do that?
Yeah, definitely we can maintain that.
Okay.
Different currencies.
How do you propose we maintain the different currencies?
Sorry, I have got no idea about that, but I think we can maintain that.
Okay. Maybe we can, if I don't do that, what if I just specify this as money? Because there's a money type in Postgres, right? If there's a money type and I do my insert statement and it is this, right? So let's say we won't do the first option. If I just store it as 1,000, right, 0.00, how does my Postgres database know that this is dollars and not euros or rupees or yen? If I just store it as money, how does the database know? Do I need to tell it that it's dollars?
No, I have no idea on that.
Okay, that's fine. So yeah, you have basically locales, and I don't remember all the parameters either. I have to look it up.
Yeah.
But yeah, you have some locales. So either the DB is set for, one locale, maybe the US, right? And I probably have some currency based on that. So that if I store a numeric value like this, and it's stored as money, I'm seeing that as dollars, right? Even the formatting's dollars. Maybe if I had to support more than one currency, maybe in the same table, maybe one option, again, just talking about options, right? Maybe I need to store some country code or some locale here, right? So that I can say, oh, the first row maybe is, it's like US, right? Maybe a second row, it could be it could be something else, right? Right. Yeah. So that would allow me to store all of the values of the money, probably in some, I think Google calls them micros. Okay. But I probably have to store these in a value that ultimately, based on the country code, I can convert back to some currency. That's one way to do it. But okay, we spend enough time on just the money. What about the span, right? So again, as an application developer, you started off in the beginning, you said I can do some comparison. I can do greater than, do some greater than, less than comparison. Yeah. But I can do that easily on the spend column. What about this other thing, this like 2 weeks and 1 month? If I'm storing it on here as a single value like this, right? Can you think of other ways I might be able to
I think this is fine. Means we can store like this only 2 months, 1 week, whatever means spend duration means we can store this like only like 2 months, 1 week. We can directly store like that. And I don't think there would be need of less than or greater. Sorry, less than or greater than. We can store it directly on the span column.
So how would I maybe some business person comes and says, "Hey, Simon and Riyaj, uh, how many of our customers have some kind of monthly limit? How would I find that? How could I query this table and easily find that, there's there's some customer, X amount of customers are limited by a monthly." What would that query look like?
Yeah, select customer ID from customer table. Okay, this is suppose we call this customer table where spend money or spend duration or spend equal to spend is less than 1 month or less than 2 months. So at the time of querying that, writing that query, we can use the greater than or less than.
Okay, but if this is a varchar, right, and we're storing these as kind of like labels, right? It says 2 months, 1 week, 1 month, right? If I'm storing it like this, I can't really.
Yeah, exactly. I got your point. We cannot compare that. So we'll have to look into this how we can store so that we can get the exact value. So I'll have to look into this how we can store it.
Okay.
So we can think about it means how we can store this the span so that while querying we can use the greater than or less than and it will give the exact result what we are looking for.
Okay, so usually when I do this comparison, usually it's with numeric values, right?
That will be with numeric values only, but means suppose if you are saying that we are storing it 2 months, okay, so means 2 months means it is not necessarily that it will be always the 8 weeks. So we cannot store like 8 or 1 week for one. So we cannot store like that. Okay, so we'll have to think about it means how we'll be storing the if we store the number of days, then that will be more suitable I guess, if we store it as the number of days in the span column though, so that it will be easy to compare with the less than or greater than values.
Okay. So we can try to convert all of these down to days is
Exactly.
what you mean?
Exactly.
So what do we get there? So one benefit is we normalize it all to days, maybe?
Yeah, days.
Okay. So any other thoughts, any other ideas that come to mind?
No, I think once we normalize it to days and we will be able to fetch all the data what is required.
Okay. What if they want to support limits by hour?
If they support limits by hour, then means
this is the business. This is how the business behaves.
Yeah. Then we
we
can again normalize it. Okay, from days to hours or something like that. Okay, means we can keep going on this like means whatever the business need. But first of all, we have to get the requirement whatever they want. Okay. First of all, we have to gather the requirement and according to that, we can design our table. Okay. Suppose they want on hours. Okay, their requirement. Then we can normalize it directly on the hours only. No need on the date. No need on the day. Okay. We can directly do that. Okay. And suppose they want to go ahead with that day, then we can normalize it to the day. Okay. So it is means we have to gather the requirement from the application, what is their need, and we can choose the option from them.
Yeah. So on the first one, again, I know we're getting close on time, and I kind of want to move beyond this. It's just a little exercise, right? It's just more thinking about it. If we normalize today's, think about the first rule, right? Customer A says no more than $1 in 1 month, right? And when you look at sort of the language, right? Maybe it could be more explicit here, but basically this customer says no more than 1,000 1K in January, no more than 1K in February, right? Et cetera, et cetera. Meaning, hey, I'm the customer. I don't want to see a bill in any one calendar month, right, that exceeds 1K, right? If I normalize this to 30 days, right? Is it possible for me that by somehow, if I've normalized this down to days, do I lose to, is it okay? Do I still satisfy this limit by some calendar, month? Is there a possibility that I don't really enforce the rule to what the customer wants here? If I normalize this down to like days, essentially we would say, oh, 1 month is 30 days, right?
Yes.
Right. Is there any issue in doing that if I make it 30 days?
If you make it 30 days, then means what about the customer who will use, who wants it within a week, or who wants within 2 weeks? So how you are going to normalize that then, if you are using that month on the monthly basis?
Yeah. So you can basically have 30 days span 2 calendar months, let's say January, February, right? It's like if you say no more than a certain amount in 30 days, like a rolling 30 days versus a calendar like month, right? Is there any difference? So yeah, just some things that I think about, right? Like the other thing I was thinking is, well, maybe this can be a little bit more atomic too, right? We were thinking we were gonna compare like less than 2 or something like this.
Yes.
Maybe this can be pulled out. These numbers can be pulled out, right? And maybe
this number can be.
Maybe we can pull this out to its own column.
Okay.
Right? Because we can say the span is 2 months, but if we wanted to standardize even on these intervals, right? You can say, oh, here's what's allowable, right? For example, again, if maybe there's a span interval, right? If it's not var carp, maybe this can be of month or week or day or bi-weekly, right? Something like that, right? You have a pretty standard, allowable intervals now that you can probably try to constrain, rather than potentially a mix of things here, right?
Yep.
Is 10 months allowed, right? It's a little bit difficult to constrain. This becomes very free form, right? But you can say something like span interval, and maybe there's a span. Gosh, I'm drawing a blank, but I don't know, some frequency, right? Or count, right? And maybe this is your 1 or 2 or n, right? So maybe you can do something like that. And again, these become you try to break this down a little bit more atomically, right? Okay, that's fine. So let's I know we have 1 minute there. If we run a little bit long, is that okay?
Yeah, that's fine. Actually, my daughter class is starting. Okay, so I was waiting for that. Means she started the class.
Is it starting now?
Yeah, after 1 minute. Okay, so.
Okay. One last question.
Yeah.
On the data warehousing side, what's the difference between a data warehouse and just a transactional DB?
Data warehouse, it stores the historical data. Okay, and transactional DB means this is the the data that means it keeps updating, means the data warehouse does means it's the historical data and does not get updated very frequently. But DML means data manipulation language. It gets updated very frequently. That is the difference.
Okay. Are the is it just, am I just keeping more data in the warehouse? Is that how it works? So if I have if I have an operational DB and it has a certain schema, is the warehouse basically the operational schema, and I'm just keeping more and more data? Is that what you mean?
Means historical data means these are the basically the archives, means from this is basically used for the select purpose. Okay, means there is no DML happens on the data warehousing mostly. Okay.
Okay, but the schema is the same. Everything else is the same other than that.
Yes, yes, everything is same other than that. Okay. This is just the purpose we are using for, means DML we use for the means very frequently. All the tables get updated very frequently. Okay, insert, update, delete, and all the data warehouse means most of the time there is only select, because
Okay.
we retrieve the data only, and there is
Okay.
less DML operation on that.
Less DML operations for sure. Like you don't have the transactions going there, but
Yeah.
the model, are you familiar with dimensional modeling or star schema? Have you heard of those things?
I have heard star schema, but I'm
Okay.
not familiar. Means I need to go back and check what is that. But I have heard about the star schema, but I have not
Okay.
heard the second one, which you first one you said.
Okay. Is it probably one in the same thing? They're probably used interchangeably. That's fine. I was just curious to see
Yeah.
how deep you've done on the data warehousing side, or maybe you can just talk about it in this last minute here.
Yeah.
What kind of experience you have sort of on the data warehousing side?
Sorry, you asked something.
I was just asking. Maybe you can just tell me what is your experience from the data warehousing side then. What is, because
Yeah, data
you
warehousing side means I do not have that much of experience, but we use the partition, okay, to keep the warehousing data according to the range, okay. So we use the table partition for the data warehousing. For the particular range, we store the data so that while retrieving, it means we can retrieve it fast using the partition. So that is what I have experience with the data warehousing.
Okay. Okay, I don't want to keep you family first, Riyash. It was great talking to you.
Yeah, same.
I got to learn a little more about you, and hopefully we touched a little bit here and there.
Yeah.
Thank you for keeping up with me on the exercises. I know it's always one of those where you never know what people are going to ask, but definitely. It was a good exercise. So thank you, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thank you so much, Simon. It was nice talking to you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
All right, bye bye.